Hey YouTube, it's Magician34, and I have a deck that I came up with the idea a couple of days ago, and I sort of thought of it, and I was messing around with it, and I thought this is just too cool not to build and then share with everybody. It's a little bit preliminary, but it's got it where it counts, but feel free if you want to take the deck and play it yourself to kind of mess around with it. It's based off of Carrierroid. This guy, a little obscure, but basically anytime your opponent targets one or more cards that's a spell or trap that you control, this guy lets you discard a card to negate and destroy the thing that would have targeted and destroyed it. So, pretty awesome guy. And he combos really, really well with Safe Zone, and that's the premise of the deck, is Safe Zoning Carrierroid to make your back row pretty much invincible, and going from there. So, back that up, since Carrierroid's obviously a pretty important part of the deck, we have two Mother Grizzly to go recruit him. And you can always just ram Mother Grizzly and go get the Carrierroid if your opponent's not going to attack into her, but she's a good first turn set. We also have Sangan, obviously, another good way to go get Carrierroid. In keeping with our sort of burn and control theme, we do have two Marshmallows. It burns, and it does better with Safe Zone than Spirit Reaper does. It's kind of a close call, but I opted not to use any Spirit Reapers for that very reason. Also, it's very hard for a lot of decks in the current meta to get over Marshmallow. We also have two Lava Golems because they kill anything, and there's virtually nothing your opponent can do to stop it. It's also a great burn card. It's very hard for them to get rid of when it's on their side of the field. Just a very potent card. This deck is hard to play correctly, I will say that, but played judiciously and cautiously, this deck can be very effective. I'm also running two copies of this obscure card called Volcanic Slicer. You could probably go to one. I opted for two, but this is kind of a preliminary build. I'm still testing it. He's an 1800 point 4-star who has the ability to just straight up as an ignition effect burn your opponent for 500. Catches, he can't attack on the turn he does it. He's another great safe zone target who can be a repeat source of burn damage. But if you need a good attacker, he can also just attack straight up for 18. And he also combos well with Messenger of Peace, which is in the deck as well to protect him. He can do the best of both worlds. You know, he can be a beater if you need a beater, but he can also just be a good burn monster that's hard for them to kill in this circumstance. We also have one copy of Effect Veiler. You can search it off of Sangan. It can be a good answer, and it can also lead into some of your Synchro monsters. But just the one, really. We're not too concerned about monster effects. We have three copies of Pot of Duality. It may interfere with a few of your special summons like Lava Golem, but for the most part, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. This is a combo deck. You want to be able to dig for your pieces. So there you go. Speaking of pieces, 3 one-day apiece are in the deck as well. Just draws you a card and protects you for a complete turn. Just remember, it protects both players from all kinds of damage, so don't try to burn them after you use it. But it's kind of a no-brainer for any kind of combo deck, or burn deck, or control deck, or whatever. Also, we're running 3 copies of Wave Motion Cannon. This is your ideal kill condition with Carrierroid safely safe zoned, because they pretty much can't destroy it except with Heavy Storm, and we do have a couple of answers for Heavy Storm. Very powerful. Be cautious by the time it gets up to about 4 turns, because that makes it a prime target for destruction. But just play wisely. We also have 3 copies of Messenger of Peace. They protect a number of your monsters really well, and Ixie's monsters can't get around it, unlike Level Limit and Gravity Bind. So in this kind of new day and age, it's sort of one of the best stall cards you can get. Very effective. Also, we're running Dark Hole. Good way to regain control of the field if things get out of hand. And 1 copy of Monster Reborn. This can get your Carrierroid, but in a pinch you can even get something like Marshmallow back for you. And the other big card of the deck, as I already mentioned, is Safe Zone. We run 3 copies of it. It allows you to buy a lot of time. This card has a ridiculous amount of control. Pretty much speaks for itself. We have 1 copy of Starlight Road. This is one of our answers for Heavy Storm. Easily you can set many back rows, and then with this there you can safely do without Carrierroid if you don't have access to it. 1 copy of Solemn Judgment, another good answer for Storm. 2 copies of Solemn Warning, because some monsters can be problematic for you, not the least of which is Stardust Dragon. It's one of your worst fears. So Solemn Warning to stop those and keep them from coming out and ruining your day. 1 copy of Ceasefire, because it's pretty much the best burn card there is. 2 copies of Magic Cylinder. Like I say, play judiciously, but this is a source of excellent damage, and it can protect things like Carrierroid under the right circumstances, so definitely worth running. And I'm also running 3 copies of Threatening Roar. I would have used Swift Scarecrow, but honestly, just because we want to keep our monsters alive more than we want to prevent damage to ourselves, ultimately, Threatening Roar wins out because it can protect your monsters, and it's a little bit better at Waboku because they don't even get the actual attack off. So it can help protect you against oddball things like GBs and whatnot. It's just the better card. And the extra deck, you're not going to tap into it very often, but we got a lot of options. Mistworm, he can help you actually attack for game if you need to. He can be like 2 4-stars in your 1-star tuner, and Monsterborn can help you get into it. Actually, we're running 2 copies of Stardust Dragon, just to make sure we can get it out with Starlight Road. 1 copy of Scrap Dragon. 1 copy of Ancient Sacred Wyvern, because if you've been burning your opponent a little bit, this thing can just be monstrous, and you can use him to attack for game, obviously. 1 copy of Brinac, another cool way to sort of cheat damage in out of the blue and bounce stuff and attack. Ally of Justice Catastor, this guy can be just as good defensively as offensively, actually. Magical Android, because, life gain might indeed be what you need, and this can definitely give you the edge. Scarred Warrior, another good stall and control card. Number 39, Utopia. Maystroke the Symphony Djinn, most of these guys kind of speak for themselves. Wind Up Zenmaines. Levier the Sea Dragon, this can get you stuff if your opponent's actually clever enough to banish it. You can get it back and kind of laugh at him. Tempo, this can be a way around things like Zenmain if your opponent gets aggressive with it. And then we also have Leviathan Dragon, just in case you need a big monster out of nowhere. This guy can do the job. Alright, and that is the deck. It's a lot of fun for messing around when you're just playing with your friends and hanging out. Maybe you could even take it to a local. It's one of those decks that has a lot of surprise value. So anyway, just thought I'd share it with you. Might be worth trying out. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more cool videos.